so this is what if Deku was Jeepers Creepers Part 1. Now, this is a request I got about the same night when I uploaded What if Deku was Dracula. So yeah, so basically this request, I wanted to do this because I like the idea a lot. And also guys, as you guys should know at this point, you can request any video that you guys want at any time. Like any time at midnight or any type of day. Any day or night. And if I like the request a lot, I mainly will do it like in the afternoon or in the next morning or that exact time. So yeah, so basically, let's get into it. Now this is what if Deku was Jeepers Creepers. Now, the person that requested this gave me a base story off of this so I can, get the story going and get it on a steady beat. So let's get into it. So this is a story he went off. So he wanted Deku to be brainwashed. So let's get into it. So yeah, so basically, I don't know, but Deku will have a quirk called Demon. Now, basically, Deku's parents, are gonna basically be confused because Deku's gonna be pretty much kidnapped at the age of, let's say, 5, about 2 days before his quirk, manifests. So basically, Deku was kidnapped from a bunch of thugs from One For All, because One For All sees Deku's quirk scanners, because Deku was scanned for a quirk, but Deku's quirk was, slowly, developing. Now, Deku's quirk was called Demon. This Demon quirk, I'm gonna go in more detail, and, going in more detail, because he didn't give me really detail, so I'm just gonna make it up. Basically, Jeepers Creepers has a bunch of abilities, because he's a monster. So basically, he has superhuman strength, obviously, because he can chuck a full-grown man like 20 feet up into the air. Jeepers Creepers also has a tractable giant bat wing, wings that can also absorb flesh or tie people in them, like in the Jeepers Creepers 2 movie. And also, Deku's powers, he can also open his face up as he's in his demon form, aka his Jeepers form. Basically, being able to open his face like Jeepers Creepers and eat people and absorb their power. And basically, this is the twist. When Deku absorbs their body, and Deku barely does this, when Deku absorbs their body, he also absorbs their quirk and also makes their quirk stronger than before. Basically, having their quirk but stronger. Being basically powerful if Deku was able to eat One For All. Able to eat All Might. So basically, Deku will be able to, have a lot of power in his, range. Now, Deku will be so strong. It would be about, on par of, Captain America, Winter Soldier type of strength. Pretty much being stronger than any human ever. Basically being able to tango with, All Might, but, still being able to lose All Might, but still being able to fight with All Might for a pretty good amount of, about 5 or 6 hours, until All Might gets tired, or gets, ready for a huge smash. So basically, Deku also has the ability to see into the dark. Deku also has the ability to take bullets like a champ, and basically get from them, and heal from bullets pretty quickly, so Deku has a regeneration. And Deku can also regenerate his limbs by attaching them back when Deku's limbs are completely cut off and burned, or his limbs are gone forever, or he can't get his limbs back. He just eats another organism that's a human, or just eats a dead corpse that has a good enough body parts so Deku can, regrow limbs. But Deku barely, eats people because he doesn't like it. He's not a monster. Deku doesn't enjoy eating body parts, but he does it because it keeps the quirk part of himself. And Deku is in his quirk, transformation state. Deku's, pretty much lust for human flesh is unsatiable, but Deku can overcome it easily. It's kind of like if you went about a year without eating. It's kind of like going a year without drinking any soda or eating any starch, or eating no sweets at all. Kind of like that. But you can overcome it. Kind of like that. So basically, Deku doesn't really need to feed on human flesh, only to survive if Deku was ever, grievously injured, like getting cut in half or something like that. Deku can also survive decapitation, and Deku can also regrow his... Deku can survive decapitation because as long as, Jeepers Creepers is whole, or a body or a torso is still Jeepers Creepers can absorb a human head like putting it into the stump where his head was, or like absorbing it into his chest, something like that. So also Jeepers Creepers, Deku also has the ability to, what was it, move his superhuman speeds on foot, basically being able to run about 40 miles per hour. Deku also has the ability to, what was it, have echolocation as well, and Deku also has the ability of, I think it was, Deku also has immortality, meaning that Deku will live forever, and it's basically impossible to kill Deku without an ancient artifact, basically forged from some sort of curse. Basically, Deku's the Quirk is actually kind of like a Deku's Quirk is kind of like a supernatural type of thing. Basically, Deku's Quirk resembles the mythological, or the pretty much the mythology of the Jeeper from about on 1,000 thousands of years ago. It was a monster called Jeepers Creepers that basically terrorized, all of uh, well, what was it, Sunnysideville, or whatever the town was. But Jeepers Creepers sadly died or something, because, like, apparently, a group of humans were actually lucky enough to actually kill Jeepers Creepers for good. So, yeah, the only thing that can kill Jeepers Creepers is his own weapons, and Deku's weapons in the vault that he's gonna find later have some sort of ancient metal that can basically kill anything. So, yeah, so it basically is really, hard to kill Deku. And Deku also has the ability to control wind pressure on items. Kind of like that Deku has like small scale telekinesis. Kind of like how number 2, or whatever his name was, number 4 or whatever, the guy from Umbrella Academy that can throw knives and control them. Basically, Deku can do that with, how Jeepers Creepers can throw a freaking shuriken, and it, like, goes a whole entire 360, point swivel, like a whole entire 360 right back at somebody else. And he can also curve, like a smart blade or something, kind of like how Predators throw their smart disc. He can basically, glide around, and Deku can use that as, he can also control the directory, like the complete directory of the blade, meaning that Deku technically can never miss. So yeah, so basically, Deku is pretty strong. Now, Deku's gonna be like Jeepers Creepers when he transforms into his Jeepers form, but it's kind of different because Deku's Jeepers Creepers, he has darkish greenish skin, but it still does look like brownish. It's some type of light. But yeah, Jeepers Creepers does have the ability. Deku's Jeepers form looks kind of like a, what was it? Kind of look, what was it? It looks green. It has like greenish skin, kind of like in this picture. Jeepers Creepers does look like he has green skin. So yeah, so basically Deku has green skin. Deku also has a more of a muscly built body from Jeepers Creepers. A more, more of a teenager and more of a slimmer, smaller body, other than, original Jeepers Creepers basically being able to, look a little bit more actually, look actually attractive. Basically, Deku, still having that wretched face Jeepers Creepers has on the face, and like the skin tone and the skin texture, but having the body of a 16-year-old and being about 6 feet tall. Let me look up Jeepers Creepers' height. So Jeepers Creepers is 6'8", so Deku's gonna be 6'8" in his Jeepers form. So in his human form, Deku also has superhuman durability and strength. That's basically it in his human form. So when Deku in his human form, he is able to have all the same strength as Jeepers Creepers, but it's just that he doesn't have all the powers as in his Jeepers form. So Deku he still does attain his superhuman strength, but also he attains his, what was it, his ability to see in the dark, and that was basically it for his human side. So basically Deku has to transform into his Jeeper side to, really fight, like, without any, leashes. But basically Deku, is kidnapped by One For All, and One For All sees Deku's quirk has very good potential, and it can be used to assassinate leaders of the country, and also to assassinate heroes, to rid the world of heroes. So basically, One For All brainwashes Deku with the quirk he has, erasing Deku's memories from his, past life, erasing the memories of Inko, Masashi, and almost Bakugo. Basically, All for One, taking in Deku for about, well, a couple of years. Until Deku turns about, let's say, 13, Deku has been in pretty much the One for All's, captivity for years, being trained under his wing, being trained in all sorts of martial arts, and also knife throwing, axe, and also knowing how to master any weapon. Deku mastering every weapon known to man, the axe, the katana, guns, everything. Arrows, shotguns, everything. Deku also developing and becoming stronger over the years, getting immune to bullets and also arrows and all sorts of other things. But Deku's skin can still be pierced, and can be stabbed in the heart from like a harpoon or something. So yeah, so basically Deku Deku basically what was it? Basically Deku, every Deku develops some sort of other power from his quirk. Now it's kind of like how the whole entire every like couple years, kind of like how Jeepers Creepers goes into hibernation. Basically, Deku goes into a hibernation for about a whole entire day for every 10 years. So yeah. So basically it's been a couple of years and Deku, you know, is does, hibernate for a pretty good amount of time. And he's only done this once. So yeah. So basically when Deku's hibernated, he's in his Jeepers Creepers form and he's pretty much nearly indestructible in his, pretty much hibernation state. But the only thing that's vulnerable to Deku in his hibernation state is his eyes, but his eyes are closed, so yeah. So basically, Deku, I also forgot, Deku can bite through human flesh pretty easily, kind of like chicken, so yeah. So, Deku, goes to, goes to train with One for All one day, basically building up enough courage to try to escape. One day, Deku tricks one of the guards with a slight strength quirk to basically, think that the other guard next to him is, picking on him. Pretty much Deku being able to mimic Deku, being there for years, has been able to pick up a couple of tricks, not a quirk, but tricks to actually be able to mimic voices, kind of like how a voice actor can. Basically, being able to mimic the guard's voice, saying that, the other guard that, you know, he's a chump and his mom is fat. Pretty much him being angry, saying, "What did you say to me?" And pretty much the other guard being confused, saying, "I didn't say anything." He said, "You want to play smart with me?" Pretty much punching the guard in the face, and them starting to fight. And Deku makes a commotion. A couple other guards come trying to break up the fight, and Deku was able to use a piece of metal that he snatched off of one of the guards, basically being able to pick the lock and sneak out of the pretty much room, getting out there as fast as possible. Deku running into a couple other guards, but taking them out pretty quickly, using his, powers to slice them up and also throwing them into walls. Deku running off. Now, Deku hasn't never killed anybody yet, but he will get that later. But should Deku kill somebody, or should Deku go on not killing anybody until, a certain event? So basically, Deku, runs off, pretty much escaping the room, escaping the, civilian, what was it? Escaping the, what was it? The place pretty easily, but too easy, actually. But Deku doesn't question it and just leaves. So One for All sees all this, basically being super angry at why no one stopped him and why no one was strong enough to. Basically, Deku just, being super angry, but just, shrugging it off. Now, what was it? No, I mean, One for All being angry. So Deku escapes, pretty much going on to the run, and eventually getting to the outskirts of Japan, what was it, a foresty area, or like a desert landscape. And basically, Deku walks around, searching and searching, in his human form at this point, because he wants to, he doesn't want to attract any attention. Basically, Deku wearing like a white, testing suit, kind of like wearing like a full-on white bodysuit. And like those morph suits you have at, Party City? Deku has that on, but just with the hands and face exposed, with the hands and face, just Deku. So basically, Deku walks around, looking around, and Deku eventually comes across a van. Deku's confused, but slowly walks towards the van slowly and slowly, and looks at the van, seeing that it's abandoned and run down. But Deku sees it's in pretty good condition, even though it's been, sitting there for years, on years on years. Now, basically, Deku looks around and opens the back of the van, seeing that it's open, looking around, seeing a bunch, like a holy grail, like a whole entire lock pad, like a whole entire freaking armory of weapons, like knives, swords, and pretty much Deku have. There's no guns there, but Deku does see a couple of arrows and crossbows. Deku also seen what was it? Deku also seen of something else. Deku seen. No, basically, bro, I literally paused me saying this, and I just missed my whole entire script. I don't know where I left off, but I'm pretty sure I left off when Deku, found the Jeepers Creepers van and was going into it. Now, the Jeepers Creepers van is fueled by fear, and it's about 500 people in America that are feared, that still fear Jeepers Creepers, even though he's been dead for 1,000 years. Deku is the van is still able to be this the van is still able to pick up fear from all parts of the world, being able to still work as normally as a normal van, but being able to drive as fast as a Lamborghini, pretty much being pretty fast. Deku also gives it a little bit of a makeover after driving around for a couple of days, eventually getting to Japan, or the main path of Japan. Deku drives into Japan, basically getting to a car dealership, and Deku actually finding a whole entire treasure chest of money or like old relics in the van. Deku seeing gold bricks and pretty much gold coins and money and currency from ancient times. I mean, Deku also seeing gold coins and gold bricks, being able to cash those in at a nearby place, and basically, being able to get a pretty good price about 10 grand from all the gold bricks that Deku has. Deku still has all those gold coins in there, but he sold all the gold bricks for about, let's say, 50 grand. So Deku was pretty much set. Like, Deku had a bunch of money already in the bag. Deku already had like Deku asked all of it in what was it? Deku asked all of it for in cash and put it in like a huge bag and put it in the back of his van. Now the van has now been activated by Deku, and the van now is connected by Deku by a spiritual or a or like a mind like thing connection. So when Deku's in danger, Deku can actually call upon the van, kind of like how Ghost Rider calls upon his bike. Deku being able to summon it. Deku also is able to lock it from the outside, looking at it and closing the door. It also tints. The windows are also naturally tinted so much that you can't even see through it from the outside. So yeah, so Deku, does fix up the van, basically making it into a silver green, and making the van light still there, just making it into a silver green, and just spray painting the logo Deku on the side of it in like what was it in like a red silvery, like a rouge, a red silver. So yeah, so Deku glosses over it, makes it pretty nice and needy, and makes it blend in, but still being flashy and still being kind of scary because it still has armor on it. So yeah, so Deku pretty much lives in the van, pretty much setting it up and fixing it up from the outside, making it kind of homey, putting a rug in there, making the weapons more organized, making it into his, house, kind of like a trailer. Now, Deku has, picked up, pretty much picked up a mini fridge, and also the Jeepers Creepers van can actually, I'm pretty much gonna deck out the van. The van actually has, well, surprisingly, a charging station all around the van, because the van's powered by a supernatural force, meaning that it can power pretty much basically anything. So Deku, brings a mini fridge in there, and has cookout sometimes with a mini, what was a portable stove that he has, pretty much living a life off the grid. And one day, Deku pretty much remembers some, memories on one, dream. Now, at this point, it's about 2 year. Deku has already turned 14, and Deku, is pretty much, what was it, going into, shock at that night, remembering more things about his life, remembering Bakugo. And Deku gets angry. Basically, Deku runs over to Bakugo's house, yelling where he is, opening the door, and pretty much Deku, in his human form, basically knocking on the door. Bakugo opens the door, looking at the man, and pretty much like saying, "Who do you, what?" And pretty much saying, "I think I know Deku." Pretty much Bakugo hugs Deku and says, "You've been gone for years. Where have you been?" Basically, Deku is pulled into the house by Bakugo, and Bakugo calls his mom, and his mom calls Inko and Sashi, and Inko and Sashi show up, pretty much being so excited that Deku's back. Basically, grabbing Deku in open arms, saying that you're back, saying that I always knew you'd be back, and pretty much, hugging Deku, and Sashi saying you're back, and very much, hugging him as well. Bakugo saying, why did you come here? Why did you not go to your mom's house? Pretty much Deku says, who are you people? And I know him, but who are you people? Pretty much, Asashi and Inko are confused, but they take him to the doctor, and they see that Deku has some sort of brain, um, brain tempering. Now, in this universe, in this quirk universe, they can actually tell somebody's mind is tempered with a mind quirk, and they see that Deku has had some memories erased, not Deku remembering nothing else, but only what the kidnappers taught him. So basically, Inko and Sashi educate Deku on, the memories, and pretty much telling Deku that they're his parents. Pretty much Deku reskipping about a couple other years ago, a couple years later, when Deku's about 16. Now Deku's in school, and basically, is friends with Bakugo. Bakugo basically saying to Deku that I I never found out what your quirk was. Deku says, well, my quirk's called Demon. Pretty much Bakugo says, Demon. Sounds villainous. Pretty much Deku saying, don't say that. Pretty much Deku not trying to, show his, monster form. Pretty much saying that Deku can transform into a monster, but also Deku can transform into something. Deku doesn't say a monster, he says into something, and says that in his human form, he also has superhuman strength, and he's able to see into the dark. And basically, Bakugo says a pretty good quirk, but not as strong as mine. Deku scoffs at this and says, yeah, whatever. Pretty much being still angry at Bakugo, remembering all the times Bakugo bullied him. Deku pretty much saying in his head that if he ever bullies me again, I'm going to kill him. We skip about a couple days later, and basically Deku goes to, train with Bakugo. Now, basically, Deku doesn't really train because he's been trained for about a couple years since he's been in captivity from the kidnappers that took him. Now, Deku basically, is watching Bakugo train, not really training himself, but being sparring buddies with Bakugo. One day, Bakugo asks Deku to spar with him, and Deku automatically dominates Bakugo in seconds because Deku had a lot more training, far more training than Bakugo has ever had. Basically, bodying Bakugo in the first, round. Bakugo throwing an explosion at Deku full on, and Deku dodging it, grabbing Bakugo in the face, pretty much chucking him into the ground, knocking him out. Deku, in that form, Deku, pretty much is confused and pretty much says, I didn't understand why he knocked out so fast. Now, Deku not really understanding how strong he was at that point, because Deku's never went up against people that didn't have any other, a durability or strength quirk, because other people that he trained with in captivity had some sort of durability quirk or some sort of, healing quirk, so they weren't, really showing, they weren't easy, to, knock out, but Deku soon realized that he was way stronger than he thought he was compared to humans, or compared to other people without his quirk. So Deku, basically, trains Bakugo, training Bakugo to become stronger, and being able to go toe-to-toe with Deku, but still not being able to go, real fight Deku. So Bakugo still being weaker than Deku. Now, Deku and Bakugo just go to the entrance exams and get ready. Deku bumps into a girl, and I'm not gonna really specify who this girl's name is or who this girl is, and Deku just, says, sorry, pretty much helping the girl up, saying that, are you okay? And the girl looking at Deku, and that girl instantly falling in love. Now, Deku's built, different, because in his human form he was trained, so Deku is built different, and Deku has the same bod that he had doing the, pretty much the 10-month arc training with All Might, but also Deku's body was a little bit more, what was it, perfected, being a lot more bulkier, not bulkier, but a lot more slim and tall and muscular, kind of hot, whatever you can call it, whatever. Basically, Deku's, looking at her, saying, "Are you okay?" And she's saying, "Yes, yes, I'm pretty much walking off." Now that girl would have, you know what, forget about it. Yeah, let's just do it. The ship for this one is gonna be Ochaku. Pretty much Ochaku pretty much runs off, pretty much falling in love with Deku in that very moment. Deku, telling Bakugo, let's go. And pretty much Bakugo and Deku walk off and they get ready. They get ready and Bakugo and Deku get ready and they start. Deku automatically transforms off the bat out of the, eyesight of Bakugo, not just showing him his true power. Basically, Deku flying off, and Bakugo seeing Deku, transform, but not seeing, his transformation. Bakugo saying, what is he transforming to? And seeing the bat wings in the sky, Deku flying around. Everybody's looking at this saying it looks kind of villainous. Basically looking like, saying everybody, it looks like Jeepers Creepers from the old storybooks my mom told me. Pretty much Deku starts flying around and basically takes out a small pocket knife that he took and chucking it at a Zero Opponent robot, and the Zero Opponent robot's whole entire system or gears being cut in half by the blade inside of the Zero Opponent robot. Because the Zero Opponent robot's the blade went in the, the openings of the Zero Opponent robot's body. I mean the One Opponent robot's body, basically taking his whole entire system out. Now Deku takes a couple other robots, pretty much throwing them into walls and flying through them and grabbing them and chopping them, dropping them, thousands of feet down from the air. Now Deku flies around, taking up a bunch of robots, taking out a bunch of robots, more than Bakugo, basically outshowing everybody else. Deku eventually coming across a Zero Opponent robot. Deku's about to fly away because he has no purpose to beat it because it will give him no, points. But Deku looks down and sees, the girl, Ochaku. Deku flies down to Ochaku's level and slowly de-transforms his face, but then the rest of his body de-transforms, and Deku's wings are the last thing to go. Deku lands down Superman style and pretty much chucks the, rebel off of Ochaku, pretty much, running off, but Deku seeing that, Zero Opponent was about to step on him. And Deku, in that span of a moment, Deku's left arm transforms into a more muscular, more, pretty much Satan-looking arm. Basically having like this arm being as big as pretty much the Hulk's arm, being clawed, having sharp ridges and teeth on it. Pretty much Deku grabbing the Zero Opponent robot's whole arm. Grabbing the whole Zero Opponent robot's whole foot. Like the whole foot, stopping the whole foot with one hand and pushing it, sending the Zero Opponent robot flying. Like straight up flying a couple of yards back into the city, breaking down a few other buildings. Pretty much everybody is shocked by this. Pretty much saying, how strong is this kid? And everybody is shocked at this. All Might is pretty much shocked at how strong is this kid? Is this kid stronger than me? Pretty much all the teachers say he has to get into UA. We can't let him get into any other, positions. We had to let him into UA. Now basically, Deku, basically, this new form, Deku will never be able to fully transform, but Deku could transform parts of his body into a more, pretty much a Jeepers Creepers on steroids type of body, but Deku can't fully transform into that body, or that Jeepers Creepers form, fully in the day in his life. But if you guys want Deku to transform into the Jeepers Creepers on steroids form, Deku just gave off with his, left hand, left arm, you can just comment down below. So yeah, so basically, Deku goes back to UA after the sirens go off and gets a note from UA that he got in, and Deku goes to UA the next day. Deku walks into class one day and sees everybody there, including Ochaku. Ochaku tells Deku that I'm pretty much thanking Deku for saving her. Everybody else in the class swarms around Deku saying, "Are you the guy that took down the Zero Point robot with one hand?" Pretty much everybody being confused, saying Todoroki saying one hand, and Bakugo saying, "Yeah, my friend here, pretty much my best friend here, took a whole entire Zero Point robot and chucked it miles, yards into a city, into the model city." Basically, everybody being super, impressed, saying, "Wow!" And pretty much all the girls saying he's really strong. Pretty much, all the other girls, gaining a little bit of affection towards Deku, but Ochako being kind of, angry towards this. But, pretty much, pretty much getting closer to Deku, kind of talking to Deku seductively. But before Deku can, pretty much talk back to, Ochaku, Azawa walks into class and explains to the class that they're doing Quirk assessment. They get told to go outside, and everybody goes outside. Deku walks in the field with his gym clothes on, and everybody gets ready. Deku gets ready and goes out there. They get ready, and Deku's told to throw the ball first because he got the highest score in the entry exams. Deku grabs the, ball and chucks it about, let's say, Deku pretty much throws the ball 828 meters up into the sky. Basically, Deku, throwing it pretty high, everybody being, surprised at this. Deku making a sound boom or a sound wave while throwing it, making breaking the sound barrier. Deku, basically his arm being kind of, spazzing, and Deku's veins turning green in his arm. But Deku, pretty much shrugs it off, pretty much, tapping his arm, pretty much his arm going back to normal. Now Deku, for the long jump, Deku jumps over it pretty easily, because he uses super strength on his legs. For the race, Deku aces it pretty quickly, and gets about in second place, because he doesn't want to transform. And for the, pretty much grip test strength, Deku gets a pretty good score. And for the rest, so basically Deku gets a pretty good score, getting in all total about first place. Now everybody else gets about a good score. Mineta gets expelled. He gets booted off. Mineta is expelled, and guys, everybody gets sent back home. And I'm gonna leave it off here, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. I hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. Bye.